CBS News poll out this morning shows that Americans are increasingly concerned about the consequences of the government shutdown. 86% now say they're very or somewhat concerned about the impact on the economy, and more than 7 in 10 say they are at least somewhat concerned about the impact on them personally.
All right, folks. So Donald Trump just received a series of truly brutal polling results, which do not bode well for the 2026 midterms and are sending he and his allies into a full-blown panic. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, let's take a look here. We got ABC, we've got NBC, we've got CBS. So as the Tennessee Holler notes, more Americans blame Republicans for the shutdown. Republicans shoulder more shutdown blame as signs of voter irritation with both parties pile up. Who do you think is more to blame for the government shutdown? Trump and or congressional Republicans or congressional Democrats? 52 to 42 lay in favor of blaming, blaming Trump and the Republicans, so by a 10-point margin. Now, in response to this, Trump is lashing out, taking his ire out on Seth Meyers, the late-night TV host, saying, deranged lunatic, he's insulting me, should probably be illegal. Right, this is him flailing. He goes, Seth Meyers of NBC may be the least talented person to perform live in the history of television. In fact, he may be the worst to perform live or otherwise. I watched his show the other night for the first time in years. In it, he talked endlessly about electric catapults and aircraft carriers, which I complain about as not being as good as much less expensive steam catapults. On and on he went, a deranged lunatic. Why does NBC waste its time and money on a guy like this? No talent, no ratings, 100% anti-Trump, which is probably illegal. So again, you're seeing a censorship streak a mile wide with Donald Trump because, again, he's seeing the polls. He's seeing that more Americans than not blame him for the government shutdown. Looks like he's going to get spanked in the midterms unless he's able to gerrymander his way out of it, which is possible. It also doesn't help that, he's renovating the White House bathroom, creating this multi-$100 million extravagant ballroom. He's having parties down at Mar-a-Lago while the government shutdown is afoot, and Democrats are pouncing on this. We'll get back to the polls in a minute. As Mediaite reports, Dems pounce on Trump throwing a Great Gatsby party as Americans suffer. He does not give a damn about you, and indeed, he doesn't. Democrats pounced on Saturday as photos emerged of Donald Trump's lavish Halloween Great Gatsby-themed party at his Mar-a-Lago club, which they deemed tasteless on the eve of SNAP benefits running out for millions of Americans. And as we've discussed, more red states, more Trump counties benefit from SNAP benefits than blue cities, blue counties, blue states. It's Democrats benefit from it, yes, but more Republicans do. So Trump, again, is screwing over his own supporters. One political commentator posted an apropos quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald's masterpiece of the Roaring Twenties, writing, quote, they were careless people. They smashed up things and creatures, then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together and let other people clean up the mess they had made, end quote, which is, of course, really apropos, again, for the Republican Party. Rumored 2028 presidential hopeful Gavin Newsom posted, Donald Trump posted a Great Gatsby party while SNAP benefits are about to disappear for 42 million Americans. He does not give a damn about you. And indeed, Donald Trump does not give a damn about the American people. But let's take a look. Poll. Frustration with Trump gives Democrats an opening a year before the midterms. Around 2/3 of voters say Trump has not lived up to their expectations on the economy and the cost of living. And I want to temper this, expectation. I want to be clear. People still have their problems with Democrats. Specifically, Democrats still have a problem with Democrats. We're really pissed off at each other and at our leaders at this moment, which is the reason why, generally speaking, approval rating for Republicans tends to be higher at this point than approval rating for Democrats, because Republicans love Republicans. Democrats, we hate each other and we hate our leadership. So keep that in mind. Democrats have an early lead in next year's battle for Congress amid an ongoing government shutdown, as more voters say Donald Trump has not lived up to their expectations on several major issues that propelled him back to the White House in 2024, according to a new national NBC News poll. Around 2/3 of registered voters say the Trump administration has fallen short in the economy and cost of living, and a majority say he's fallen short on changing business as usual in Washington. At the same time, the Democratic Party continues to suffer from low ratings from voters as it seeks to offer an alternative. This is the problem we have to overcome. And again, a lot of it is because we're pissed off at our leaders. It's not like Democrats are happy with Democrats at the moment, okay? But hopefully that'll change. Meanwhile, The issue of protecting democracy and constitutional rights are a top issue to voters alongside costs as Trump continues an expansive agenda of executive actions on immigration and other key policy areas. And a majority of voters believe he's done more to undermine the Constitution than defend it. Fair enough. 43% approval, 55% disapproval. Remember, Donald Trump is an historically unpopular president. Now, because he commands a cult of personality, tens of millions strong, he has a higher floor than most people, but also a much lower ceiling, right? He's less popular than Biden. He's less popular than Obama, less popular than Clinton, less popular than Bush. Not a good state for Donald Trump to be in, but let's continue. Let's see. The president's overall approval rating in the survey sits at 43%, a 4-point decrease since March, while 55% disapprove of his job performance. In 1 year before the 2026 midterms, Democrats lead Republicans in the fight for Congress by 8 points, the largest lead for either party on the congressional ballot in the NBC in the NBC News poll since the 2018 midterms. And the 2018 midterms were a blue wave. Now, we need to get to that level. What this poll is saying, this is the largest since then, which is good, but other polls say that it's not where it needs to be to have a 2018 result, which is really what we need. So we need to keep working, and our Democratic leaders need to keep doing everything in their power to court voters and to galvanize and hype up the base. Congressional control preference, 50% Democratic control, 42% Republican control. Again, that's really good. Quote, we will learn a lot in just a few days' time in New Jersey and Virginia, among other elections, and what impact those results may have on the government shutdown. Again, November 4th, you've got the Proposition 50, which is the California attempt to undermine Trump's gerrymandering. That's on the ballot. You have the gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey favored by Democrats are in the aggregate, which again is really good. Hopefully we land all three of these things, and that'll be a much needed shot in the arm, so to speak. So let's take a look. Democrats' lead on the congressional ballot is among the larger advantages they've enjoyed in any public polling in 2025. So that's good. The majority of respondents blame Trump and the Republicans for the government shutdown. But historically, high numbers, it says, for blaming congressional Democrats, too. Still a 10-point delta that further hurts Trump and the Republicans. Let's see, again, a majority of you still have negative views of the Democratic Party. Again, not disputing that at all. We're really pissed off at ourselves. Voters, particularly Democrats, are also fired up about the next election, asked to rate their interest in the 2026 elections on a 10-point scale. 66% of voters responded 9 or 10. Higher interest 1 year out than voters registered in the weeks preceding 4 of the 5 recent midterm elections. So, people are more hyped about 2026 than any other. For Democrats, 74% rate their interest at 9 or 10, while 67% of Republicans and 50% of independents say the same. A 7-point enthusiasm edge is on par with the 9-point enthusiasm edge Democrats enjoyed in the 2018 midterms. Again, that's a good sign. We want to get this thing as close to or better as 2018 as humanly possible. Altogether, it's clear Trump is shaping up to be a major factor in next year's midterm elections, with 70% saying they want their vote to send a message about support for or opposition to Trump, the highest number in NBC News polling dating back nearly 30 years. The plurality of voters, 40%, say they want to send a vote of signal of opposition to Trump, while 30% say they want to signal support of him. So again, a 10-point delta there. The high election interest and focus on Trump came as millions of Americans participated in No Kings. In this survey, 43% say they consider themselves supporters of the No Kings protest movement, with the group largely composed of Democrats, but also including 4 and 10% of independents. That's good. That's good. What's not good is the economy, and Trump's polling on that. It's atrocious. When Trump spoke to NBC's Meet the Press, it says I won on the border and I won on groceries. The new poll numbers show some warning signs for Trump on both issues, especially the economy, as well as on the top voter issue of protecting democracy and constitutional rights. Has the Trump administration lived up to your expectation, or has it fallen short on these issues? Lived up to, people say, on border and immigration. Okay, that's the one area where he's exceeding expectations or matching expectations, but he's underwater everywhere else. And that's not good, especially on inflation and the cost of living. Yikes. Only 30% compared to 66%. A chunk of Republicans also agree, concentrating among those who don't view themselves as MAGA Republicans. So if you're not a MAGA Republican, you're more likely to blame Trump or hold Trump accountable for what's going on. The 2025 results mirror NBC's polling in August 2010, months before midterm elections that were seen as a repudiation of President Obama. So again, that's bad news for the Republicans, which is why they're trying to gerrymander their way into a victory. Let's see here. Immigration. Specific issues like this. Which statement best describes your opinion about the Trump administration's deployment of federal agents and National Guard troops? Only 44% say the deployments are justified, 54%. So again, we're starting to see like a recurring theme of a 10-point margin, 10-point delta that's working against Trump. That's not good for Trump. Constitutional rights and democracy. Let's see. A quarter of voters said that protecting democracy or constitutional rights was the single most important issue in deciding their congressional vote. So that's also something I think that cuts against Trump in that respect. Yeah, it's not good. We're about to show one more poll here. I think it's from, actually, no, there's CBS. CBS was the other one. This one was NBC. So now we're on CBS. Shutdown situation's not great. This one shows a tighter margin. CBS does. 56% blame Donald Trump and 55% blame Democrats, 55% blame Republicans. So more people, again, blaming the Republicans and the Democrats, but this one shows a much tighter margin. Let's see here. Is Congress working towards the end of the government shutdown? 73% say no, and that is absolutely the case. This is also not good. 64% of respondents say they expect prices to go up in the next few months. And of course, inflation is increasing on Trump's watch. Is Trump trying to fulfill his campaign promises? 36% say yes with the approach you expected. 29% say yes with a different approach than expected. 35% say not trying to fulfill his campaign promises. I think on many of them, he is trying to fulfill his campaign promises. They're just terrible promises, and he's doing them in terrible ways, which reflects a terrible polling. Let's see here. Congressional redistricting, since Proposition 50 is coming up again on November 4th. This one's interesting. 42% say we shouldn't do mid-decade redistricting. Republicans shouldn't do it. Democrats shouldn't do it. But again, Republicans started this, and so I would say that Democrats have no choice to respond. Trump's handling of immigration, the economy, inflation, disapproval is 55, 62, and 66% respectively. Not good for Trump. And then we'll close with ABC News. All of these coming out today. Most Americans say country is on the wrong track. Blame Trump for inflation. Not good. Not good. 2/3 of Americans say the country is, quote, pretty seriously off on the wrong track, while just under a third say the country is moving in the right direction. It's not good for Trump. Let's see here. About 6 in 10 Americans blame Trump for the current rate of inflation, while more than 6 in 10% disapprove of how Trump's handling tariffs, the economy, and managing the federal government. Majorities also disapprove of how he's handling several other issues. 64% of Americans say Trump is, quote, going too far in trying to expand the power of the presidency. Ouch. Not good. 52% majority of Americans say the economy has gotten worse since Trump became president. Again, folks, just not good. These are terrible polls for Trump. No wonder he's freaking out. No wonder he's lashing out at Seth Meyers and other things as well. Victory is not assured, of course, for the Democratic Party, and it would be foolish of the Democratic Party to just assume that it is. But these are not good numbers for Trump, and I think deep down Trump recognizes it, and that's why he's throwing a friggin' tantrum. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.